Yes, welcome in. The swing is back. It's basketball season, Jesse. Very early here in the fall. The second day of fall, we're back.
Much needed time for basketball season, I should say, but the Badgers started practice this week. I feel like it gets earlier and earlier. Maybe that's because we're old. Way back when October 15th was the first day of practices under NCAA rules, and Wisconsin started this season September 22nd. But I'm so eager to see what this team looks like this season.
Absolutely. And actually, student season tickets went on sale this morning for Area Red and sold out in 10 minutes. So people, I think, are excited about basketball. I know that we've got a ways to go. We're doing this for a number of reasons. One, because I think there's a lot of interesting storylines around the basketball team for sure, and some very exciting things that people are looking forward to watching. The other aspect of it is football. We've been talking about a lot of negativity. There's been a lot of negativity, right, around the football program and the athletic department in general. And so I felt like, and I've been a big part of that, been very negative of late. So I felt like we should go the other way with it here, do the swing. It's before the season. Nothing bad has happened yet. And so there's a lot of positivity to get to. And really actually looking forward to the episode because we've got a lot to get to about the schedule. We've got some overreaction or no. We've got some other things to go through. And then we're going to be talking, hopefully, and then we're going to be talking with Wisconsin junior Nolan Winter coming up here in a little bit. Sit down with him for a few minutes and see how he's feeling headed into a year in which he is going to take over a pretty big role on this team with Stephen Crowell no longer around. So we're going to get to all of that. Before we do, if you're listening to this, just want to make everybody aware we do have a YouTube channel. It is the Camp YouTube channel, but we're going to be posting all the swing episodes there as well. So go up there, follow, and subscribe, I should say. And we would appreciate it. Helps the show a bunch if you subscribe. So do appreciate that. And then obviously BadgerConnect.com. And there's a ton of basketball stuff coming, right? I believe that's accurate.
That is, yeah. I have a couple basketball items for next week that I hope will be fun, and plenty more planned in the coming weeks and months.
Do you want to share any of that? Because there were some videos out of some things that were taking place last Friday on the Hill. I don't know if you want to comment on that or not. You're going to be that is part of this, right? Because there are videos out there of certain people doing the Hill.
Was I in any of those videos doing the Hill? I didn't see.
I
was.
Yeah.
Yep, that is accurate. We filmed the Badger Bites where I attempted to run Bascom Hill with the basketball team. I don't know why, unfortunately, I picked the final day when they had to do the most hills. That's just how the timing worked out. It was supposed to be a story of redemption because one other time I attempted to run the hill when Bo was the coach at Elver Park. That hill is insane. If anybody can get 20 of those hills or even 10, I salute you. It didn't go well for me. I made 4. So the objective this time was to see if I could match or surpass. I won't give it away other than to say it did not go well, but hopefully that's a fun video. And I'm also working on a story right now about the history of the hill, which of course dates back to a few decades now when Bo Ryan was at Platteville and Greg Gard obviously was his assistant. So it's obviously been a big part of the preseason training regimen. And I think it's cool that it continues to be. It's changed from Elver to Bascom, and they don't do as many because, as we said, the practice schedule has moved up several weeks. But those are a couple items that are coming, and I have a few more basketball stories planned soon as well. So check it all out at Badger Connect.
Yep, looking forward to it. As I'm sure you're going to relate in the story, there's the one hill is much more vertical than the other one, but they're being asked to do different things on those various hills, correct?
Yeah, I know. It's funny. So I talked to Bo Ryan for this story because he is, of course, the architect of this whole thing. He called Bascom the JV hill. I feel like that's maybe a get off my lawn type thing. It is not as steep. Way back when at Elver, you had to jog up the hill. Your only rest was the walk down. And as soon as you got to the bottom, you had to start over. This hill, again, not as steep, but what the strength and conditioning coach Jim Snyder has the group doing are sprints. So it makes it just as hard. You basically have to do 3 sprints up the hill. You get some rest in between, But man, after one or two, it's I don't know how those guys do it. Obviously, because they're high level athletes, Division I athletes, and I'm twice their age. But kudos to them for getting the job done.
Absolutely. So that's going to be coming next week. As you mentioned, the team started practice this week, and it is a very different looking team than the last one we saw on the floor back in March. 6 seniors are gone. A bunch of several other scholarship guys are gone, and they brought in a whole bunch of new faces. We had an opportunity to chat with Joe Krabenhoff back in July, and he was very high and a ton of praise on a lot of these guys that are coming in. I know you've had some time and spent some time with some of these guys. Which ones are you most excited to see, whether it's the red-white scrimmage or, into the exhibition season and in the season as we get going here?
There are so many guys that I'm excited to see because there are all these pieces to the puzzle, and we have no idea what they're going to look like because they have 9 new faces on the roster. You have 6 returning players. Obviously, John Blackwell, Nolan Winter are the backbone of the returning group. Jack Janicki, who got minutes as well. But what does Nick Boyd look like in this backcourt with John Blackwell? We heard Greg Gard offer some effusive praise for Nick, and Joe Krabenhoff did on our show as well. The speed at which he plays is sort of unlike what people have seen around here in quite some time. We saw 2 practices in July, and you could see some of that. Now, there's an acclimation period in terms of guys knowing when you're going to pass, but I'm excited about that. How do these transfers work together with this group? Because the expectation is maybe 3 transfers are in the starting lineup. Austin Rapp is a dude who averaged 7 threes a game at Portland a year ago. Well, that fits in pretty well with an offense that averaged 80 points a game a year ago. So those are certainly a couple. Andrew Rohde, great 3-point shooter. They got him back, a Wisconsin kid, and transferred to Virginia, spent a couple years there, and now he's back. One of the practices we saw in July, he didn't miss a 3. So I guess the last, and I know I could go on down the list, so I'm not going to name every player, but the freshman guys and Hayden Jones and Alexis Bielauskas, because they just got here, so we didn't see them in July. Those guys, because they've played on national teams and played high-level competition, it feels like their skill set is so much more advanced than what you might see out of a typical freshman. So I'm eager to see those guys. You can tell there's a lot of reason for excitement.
A lot of reason for excitement and a lot of reason for intrigue because there are so many new faces and you don't know exactly how it's all going to piece together, how it's all going to come together for Greg Gard. It came together perfectly last year. Obviously, not all of the transfers that came in were huge parts of it, but John Tanjay, obviously being an All-American and doing what he did, certainly helped that transition. But you had some other guys that were able to contribute in different ways as well. It feels like there's, because of what I don't know, I say don't bring back, but last year you had so many guys back from the previous year's team. You had so many guys that have been around for a while. Now you have essentially 3 guys that have contributed on this roster, right? In obviously Nolan Winter, and John Blackwell, and Jack Janicki. Those are the 3 that have played a lot of basketball. Janicki maybe less so than the other 2, but you're trying to mesh a whole bunch more new faces this year than even you were last year. I think that is going to be something interesting to watch and whether it comes together as quickly as it did last year.
Yeah, it looks on the surface, and again, we haven't seen this group play, but there's a ton of depth because I haven't even mentioned the other 2 freshmen that they brought in, Zach Kinziger and Will Garlock, in-state kids. For as much as we talk about the transfer portal and it is so valuable and going and getting some international prospects, you need those in-state guys who understand what Wisconsin basketball is, who want to be here long-term. Garlock has certainly earned a lot of praise, a 7-foot center, and Kinziger can just shoot the lights out. So those guys are going to have opportunities to play too. And, Braden Carrington, who's got a bunch of experience, played at Minnesota, came from Tulsa. They have so much experience, and then they've got these young guys with so much talent. I think that's part of why it's exciting when you're looking at this season.
Absolutely. So practice is underway. The red-white scrimmage, I believe, is the first time that the public will get to see him. I believe that's October 16th. Is it? It's the middle of October.
The 19th. It's the day after the Ohio State.
It's a Sunday.
It's Sunday.
Yeah, it's a Sunday.
Yeah, October 19th.
Yep, the 19th. Sorry, excuse me, October 19th. So that's be the first chance that fans will get an opportunity to see them. But I wanted to go through a few other things here. Actually, before we do that, I did have a question. You mentioned the newcomers. Of the non-transfer newcomers, who do you think has the best chance to contribute this year? You mentioned a number of those guys, and I'm just wondering because look, there's so many. You lose 6 seniors, you have 5 seniors this year. This is the whole get old, stay old type of thing with Greg Gard, and they have 5 seniors, all of whom maybe outside of Isaac Gard could play, have or will have a role this year, whether it's Carrington, Boyd, Elijah Gray, or Andrew Rohde. They're all going to play. So it's the get old, stay old. You have a junior in John Blackwell that's played a ton of basketball, and same with Nolan Winter. But for the younger guys, is there a newcomer that's not a transfer that could potentially contribute this year?
It's a hard question to answer right now because, like I said before, we haven't seen Hayden or Alexis at all at Wisconsin. I do think I'm interested to see how Alexis fits in here because he literally just got here and had never been on campus. I was writing a story about the volleyball team when I was covering the Texas match, and I saw him and Hayden, and it was literally the first day he'd been here, and they were about to enroll and start school. So that is a huge transition, but fundamentally, and for what Wisconsin likes to do as an offense, which as we know is transition more toward European style basketball, from what I've heard, he fits in perfectly with the ability to pick and pop, to understand how to space and make threes. I'm looking at what the front court could be for big men, and I feel like there's a role there. I think Hayden has a chance to be really special too. I don't know where he fits in the backcourt. So I'm really interested to see what those two provide, because the other thing that is interesting about them is, unlike high school players in the States, they have played with 33-year-old pros. It's just so different over there. And that I think you get this type of experience you just can't recapture here. And I think that better prepares them as well. So that's not to say I don't think Garlock and Kinziger can't have roles, but I'm really intrigued by those two guys that they've just brought in internationally.
Yeah, again, the Will Garlock one is interesting just because he missed so much time with the broken foot. Not obviously, it was during the AAU season, and didn't get as much time, and so they thought that he might be a little bit behind. But the way you hear Joe Krabanoff talk about him, and then the way that Greg Gard talked about him last Friday, he's like, I don't know if it's going to translate to actually on the court, but just the bounciness and the athleticism at that size, 7 foot and like 245, 250, something like that. And when they don't have necessarily a true backup big at this point to put in there behind Nolan Winter, maybe on down the line. He goes, I don't know if it's going to happen in November, December, February, maybe next year, whenever he's able to help. But that size is difficult to find, in the athleticism that comes along with it, difficult to find, and potentially could be usable this year. We'll see. We don't want to talk too highly about any freshman at this point because of what tends to happen when you get here and it's bullets start flying. It's a little bit different, and we saw that last year a little bit with Daniel Freitag. So, all right, moving on here. Schedule came out last week, or the conference schedule came out, exactly where all these things were going to be, and it's a bit of a daunting one, I will say, in a number of different ways. I mean, they only have 3 home games in their last 9, and they finish at Purdue, who could go into the season as the number 1 team in the country. You have a challenging non-conference season that they've put together, and we'll see how good Villanova is. We'll see how good Marquette is, but those are 2 games on there. But you look at going to BYU, who enters the season 6th in the Bart Tarvik ratings, and you play Providence out in San Diego in that tournament, and then you potentially play the defending national champs in Florida, who are also in the top 5 in his rankings. Your conference schedule starts with Purdue and UCLA at home, and then going to Michigan. All of those teams right now going into the season, potentially top 10 teams. 5-game stretch where it's Ohio State, at Indiana, at Illinois, home to Michigan State, and then at Ohio State. Not to mention, as I already said, the finish. It's a hell of a schedule. And the conference schedule, especially with the way it closes, with only 3 home games in your final 9, really, really tough.
I love it. Maybe don't love the 3 home games in the final 9, but in general, you want to see your program compete against some of the best teams. And obviously now with the Big Ten having 18 teams, there's not as many teams you double up on. So that's always interesting to see how they decide who you're going to play. But from a non-conference perspective, a lot of quality games, and then even the exhibition. And you get to see Oklahoma, you get to see Villanova at Fiserv. That's regular season. Play Marquette every year. Go out to San Diego, and so I think there are obviously more than one school of thought on how to do this, but assuming every year you're going to have so much roster turnover, some teams maybe just want to break a group in by playing easy competition, and you get an inflated record, and maybe it doesn't mean as much. But I just get to work. Let's see how good you are. And if you don't play well in November, well, you've got 4 more months to figure it out. And if you should win some of those look really good on an NCAA tournament resume down the road. But I think you have to prepare yourself as best you can for what Big Ten play is. And in order to do that, you have to play quality competition. So can't wait to see what this group is able to do. One thing I will say, I know it's a totally different group, but at least in recent history, they've done an awfully good job of playing well early. And, I don't know what that's going to look like with this season's team, but it does feel like they've generally been able to prepare well early.
And again, that's why I would kind of ask you the question where you think, can it come, or I should not ask you, but suggested, will it come together as quickly as it did last year or the year before? Because you have so many new faces. Last year, you had a bunch of new faces, but you had a bunch of returning guys that had played basketball together for a really, really long time with Stephen Crowell and Max Klesman and go on down the list of guys. So it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together very early, but you don't get Michigan at home and you don't get Illinois at home. You have to play them. You only get them on the road. You don't have to go to UCLA, which is good right now, considering what the type of team UCLA is going to be. But for the most part, I don't know. The ending is just, I think, a little tough, if I'm being honest. And also, right after the start of the year, you're getting those home games against Purdue and UCLA when the students are not going to be there. So that's another part of it as well. We'll see. I'm sure the environment will be nice, will be good, and it'll be challenging. But I feel like you would have rather potentially had that game in late January or early February when everything's back and everything's rolling at the Kohl Center. So we'll see. It's a difficult schedule. All right, before we get to Nolan, a few overreaction or no's here for you, Jesse. Wisconsin will have a top 10 offense in the country this season. Is that an overreaction or no?
In terms of scoring offense?
I'm just telling you, projected offense. This was a CBS Sports thing coming out in July. It said it ranked the top 10 projected offenses, and Wisconsin was among the top 10. Now, if you want to talk about efficiency or scoring, I feel like scoring probably not, but efficiency-wise, I would imagine maybe that's where they're going with this.
Where did they rank a year ago would be my question.
In efficiency? I think they were a top 10.
Man.
Sorry for dropping this on you again. This is kind of what I do.
No. That's okay, because I'm just trying to think through this. So in talking to Greg, go ahead.
Wisconsin was 13th in efficiency last year. Offensive efficiency, 13th.
I'd say if they're not in the top 10, it would be close. The one thing and so in talking to Greg, it sounds like the expectation is to shoot even more threes this year, which is pretty wild. But they're coming off a year where they averaged 80.1 points per game, which is the most the program has averaged in a single season since 1972. And there's no expectation that it's going to be slowing down. But to your question about how quickly does it come together, I think it's reasonable to believe that it might take a little more time when you consider how many new pieces have to mesh together here and some of the competition in non-conference play. So, I think this is an 80-plus point type offense again, but you need the execution. And so if it's purely scoring offense, maybe I like that 80-plus points a game, but efficiency, how many threes can you make? So they've got the guys who can do it, though. They've got shooters, and that's really how they've built this roster.
They have, and I'm looking for a bounce back from John Blackwell. You look what he did as a freshman. I'm talking about from the outside. He from as a freshman, he was 45.8. Is he going to shoot 45.8% every year? No, but he was at 32 last year. If he can get that up to the 36 or 37, just maybe even 38, because that's the type of shooter I think he can be, they're going to be in good spot. Because I think Nolan was at 35.8, and certainly with what Austin Rapp can do, and Andrew Rohde's a really good high percentage shooter, and Nick Boyd as well. They have a chance to be pretty special with that starting lineup. We'll see what happens behind them with some of the other pieces. But I know that Greg Gard talked about Jack Janicki a little bit and said how much better he is shooting the ball this year as well. That could be a huge lift off the bench, and not just be a spark in terms of like effort and smart play and all that stuff, but be able to hit some big shots. That would be significant for that offense to be the type of offense that I think Greg Gard believes they can be.
With John, one thing I wanted to say with John Blackwell, I know that 3-point shooting was an area of emphasis this offseason. He went to LA to train. He put his name in the draft and got workouts with 4 NBA teams. And the feedback that he received is, among other things, the ability to get to the rim, play with more explosiveness, and the 3-point shooting. Because you're right, Zach. If you're going to shoot as many threes as this offense is, and you're going to be that big of a focal point, you got to hit it at a higher clip. Now that's a difficult transition to go from what his role was as a freshman to what it was as a sophomore, where he's constantly on the ball, where he's playing way more minutes, your legs get tired, all that stuff. But in year 3, that's certainly an area to watch for him, and I expect a big jump.
Well, yeah, because he's not going to be playing on the ball nearly as much, right?
Yeah, but not with Nick Boyd here. And they can both do it, but I think this will help John's game.
Yeah, absolutely. The other part, and you mentioned it there, the being able to finish around the rim, because there were so many times it felt like, and now I feel like maybe we're just nitpicking here a little bit on John's game, but was able to get inside and get to the rim, but maybe wasn't able to finish as often as he would have liked inside. So I think that is another one that you're hoping takes another jump, because it just felt like he got in there and sometimes he didn't have a plan of exactly how he wanted to get the ball up in the basket. So I would imagine that's going to take another a leap as well. All right, a couple more here. Nolan Winter will end his career as the Badgers' best big since Ethan Happ.
Well,
is it an overreaction or no?
Trying to think who the other bigs have been. Stephen Crowell,
Nate Reavers, Micah Potter. There's not. I don't think this is like a huge overstatement, if I'm being honest.
No. I don't think it's an overreaction at this point. He's got his upperclassman years ahead of him. And I think the strength that he's gained here in a couple of years, the shooting ability, the ability to impact things at the rim, all lead you to believe it's trending in the right direction. So I don't think that's an overreaction at this point. But now you got to go out and do it consistently in a role that's different for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk with him coming up here in just a minute about that and that transition into a bigger role with not having Stephen Crowell around anymore, and him kind of being the lone big with experience, Big Ten experience. We'll see exactly how that all rolls for him. Last one here. Wisconsin will be no worse than an 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. They are currently a 7 seed in the early bracketology.
I love that we have a bracketology before teams have really practiced.
Yesterday it came out.
Fantastic.
The most recent one.
I guess I'll say not in overreaction. I have no idea how to answer this one. Can we see a single game before we make some seeding predictions?
No.
Can I get your answer to this one?
I think it's an overreaction, because I just went through the schedule. We just went through the schedule, right?
Yeah.
And now the Big Ten, maybe if it's going to be as good as it potentially looks to be, and you're going to be facing so many good teams, you won't get dinged for certain losses. But I think it's going to be a really, really tough run. If they can get out to the start they did last year, I would say it's not an overreaction. But just the idea of them being able to come together and mesh together as quickly as they did a year ago, I think is asking a little bit much. And so perhaps you drop a game or two in the non-conference that you shouldn't, and maybe it potentially impacts you down the road. But really, we saw how certain losses or certain things at the end of the season last year impacted their seed. That loss to Penn State, like, can drop you down, not a line, but drop you into a lower spot. And that's what happened last year for them. Potentially they are in Milwaukee instead. Now, again, BYU's inability to play on Sunday, which to me, again, is insane and somehow impacts everybody else, played a role there too. But I think it's no worse without having seen a single game. Feels like a bit of an overreaction for me. You didn't answer.
I said no. I'll just say not an overreaction. I don't know, in the interest of having a different answer.
Okay. Last thing before we get to Nolan, all 18 teams in the Big Ten tourney this year, fan or no?
No. When there's that many teams, I think you should at least have to earn it. And I know that, I'm sure I've said this before. This is coming from a guy who played in a conference in Division III where the top 4 teams went in a 10-team league. So earn your way into the conference tournament.
All right. Well, they don't have to this year. It's going to be all 18, and we'll see exactly what that looks like. I don't know that. I haven't seen a bracket yet. I'm sure they probably did pull one out. Just haven't seen it, what exactly it looks like. And my guess is probably multiple games or 4 games perhaps on Tuesday, or maybe it's 4 games on Wednesday. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. That is a long way away, just as is Selection Sunday, and that's why potentially probably shouldn't have asked the overreaction or no question on the bracket, but I did anyways because I want to put Jesse on the spot and then potentially bring it back up in March. But either way, let's get into our interview. We're going to chat here with Nolan Winter, Badgers junior center. And we do welcome in a special guest. It is Wisconsin junior center, Nolan Winter. Nolan, appreciate you jumping on.
Of course. Thank you guys for the time. It's good to be here.
So you got week 1 here of practice. You guys got today off, but the first 2 days, what's it been looking like for you guys?
It's been good. Obviously over the summer, we've had a lot of time together, getting to learn each other's games, build that chemistry off the court. We had little controlled 1-hour workouts that we'd kind of go into with the team. So we had that going. But these first 2 days, these last 2 days have been really good. Really tuned in the defense with Coach Guard. So that's been a lot of fun. I'd be lying if I said it was fun, but it's good for us. It's good for us. It's going to be a big part of our success this year. So, it's been good. Team's looking good. Everyone's pretty healthy right now, so it's always a good sign.
Nolan, with Steven Crowell moving on, you're about to step into your most significant role in this program. What's your approach been all offseason, knowing this has been coming?
Yeah, just mentally preparing for what's in front of me. I know that my role is going to increase, so preparing for that physically, putting on that weight, being able to, run up and down the court, and physically without getting tired, and being able to bang with some of the bigger guys in the league. That's going to be a big thing for me, and I like where I'm at physically and body wise. So that was one of the bigger things for me this offseason. But just mentally and being prepared for this role, and getting in with coaches, and just working on my craft. It's a big thing for me. So yeah, it'll be a fun year for sure.
I was going to hold off on my weight questions until later in the interview, but I guess we'll go here right now. We talked this summer, and you were up to 237. I think that was in July. You wanted to play at 245. Where are you at right now?
Just shy of 245. So, yep. Again, I like where I'm at. I feel really solid out there, while still being able to move laterally. I think that's a big thing. I didn't want to lose that quickness and being able to guard some of the wings that I did kind of last year. So Coach Snyder did a really good job helping me accomplish that. And, I like where I'm at.
Is there really still not an hour in the day that you're not eating something? Because that was something you said in July. Or has that cut back a little bit?
No, it's I just had some lunch before right after class here, so I'm trying to eat as much as I can. We got training table now downstairs too, so that helps. That helps the craft. But yeah, no, I'm trying.
You've talked about your physical growth just from an on the court standpoint. What did you think were the most important areas to improve when you evaluated yourself last season?
Yeah, obviously everywhere I know I can improve at. With Big Steve kind of stepping away now, I think my low post game could take a big jump in volume and efficiency. I feel like I finished pretty well last year, but I think as always, there's room to improve. So, working with Coach Steamsmo was a big thing. He knows how to work with the big guys, and so being able to get in with him and work on my low post finishing and that kind of stuff, that's big for me. But then along with my outside shot, I don't want to lose that ever. That's kind of what's got me here is being able to stretch the floor and put on the floor and score in the low block. So being able to improve on all three areas of my game there is huge for me.
We got the chance to talk with Joe Krabanoff in July as well, and he said there's no ceiling on what you're capable of. Do you feel that? Do you feel that as you get stronger and you get more physical and you feel better in your body? Do you feel like there's really no ceiling for your game?
I agree. I've kind of heard that growing up, knowing that I was going to be pretty tall, thanks to my parents being tall. So, and knowing that I got some of my mom's athleticism, my dad's height, so it's a good mixture of the two. But I've heard that kind of, and I didn't really know what that meant, and I didn't really know how far the sky really was for me to chase. But after getting here and showing flashes from times and going into my junior year now, I understand that sky really is the limit. And my coaches have done a great job pushing me and never letting me settle for anything short. Yes, I feel like for myself, sky's the limit, and I'm excited for this year.
This is a team that's got 9 new players. A couple of them weren't here during the summer with Hayden and Alexis. I know you're still just learning the group, but from what you saw in the summer and being around them, what excites you most about this team?
Yeah, I mean, super deep team. I think we got a lot of talent from top to bottom. These younger guys, they're showing a lot of potential. So that's been a lot of fun to watch to kind of help them, show them what it means to be a Badger, both on and off the court. It's been fun to kind of, show them the whole process. But yeah, I think we got a really talented team. These guys have been a lot of fun to work with too every day. Our chemistry is building day by day, and the locker room's fun with these guys. So yeah, it's a fast paced, super deep team. Everyone can stretch the floor. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
We were talking about this earlier on the show. Last year, you had so many guys, so many new guys, but you had so many guys coming back as well that had played together for so long. Now you have so many new faces, and you guys haven't necessarily played a ton of basketball together except for you and John and Jack. What do you anticipate the process being, trying to mesh the old and the new together here as you guys get practice going and get into the season?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the summer's for, honestly. All those lifts, all those, running the hill. We just got done doing that. Just kind of building that chemistry through the tough times and the workouts and the hard lifts that we do. I think that's kind of what brings us together. And then with the on the court stuff through the summer, getting to learn everyone's games, I think that's huge just to build that chemistry on the court where people like the ball, that kind of stuff. So this team is super close. I know last year we had a really close team, just being that everyone was kind of returning. We had a lot of returners and same faces, but honestly, these guys I feel like I've been around these guys for a year now. So our chemistry is awesome, and it'll be fun.
You mentioned how many guys on this team can stretch the floor. Greg Gard said this team could shoot even more threes than it did a year ago. What is it like to play in this type of system?
It's awesome. It's so much fun. It's a lot of credit to the coaches giving us kind of the freedom to just play basketball. Like not worry about if the shot's going in or not. Not if you're taking the right shot, if I should shoot this. If not, like they just want you to go have fun and play some good basketball and let it fly. So it's freeing knowing that you have coaches that aren't going to get mad at you for taking maybe a little questionable shot. They give us a little leeway as long as we play defense. So that's why these last 2 days has been a lot of defense. But yeah, I mean, this system's awesome to play in. And as we continue to play in it for, it's going to be my 3rd year here now. It's been awesome and just more and more comfortable in it.
When you talk about defense, it's playing defense without fouling. And when we talked to Joe, he mentioned that that's kind of been a focus, right? Because last 2 years, if you were to get a foul or two, you could just bring Steve back in. I don't know that you necessarily have a guy that you feel, well, I'm sure you guys are going to build some depth at that spot, but how important is it for you to be able to stay on the court? And just because there maybe isn't that for sure guy that can step in right away.
Yeah, I think it's huge. Like that's a lot of why I was really honed in on putting on the right weight, conditioning wise, really making sure my body's right. So I'm not getting punked out there, having to foul, get a quick 2 fouls, and then that got to sit for the rest of the half. So that's it. That was a huge thing for me. But I think we do have a good amount of depth at the big, and I'm excited to see where these younger guys, Alexis and Will Garlock, those two, they have a really bright futures here. Then we got Greppia as well returning. So we got a lot of big dudes down there that can more than willing to step in. But yeah, I think that's a big thing for me, was physically getting my body and mind right to take on that role.
So can you give us the scoop on some of those young bigs, Will and Alexis? What are their games and what has stood out to you about what they can bring?
Yeah, Will and Alexis. Alexis, he's a really good shooter. He can stretch the floor better than I might have thought when he was coming in. He's a physical guy. He likes to bang around. Really physical. Can annoy me at times, but you love it. You love it. Kind of roughing me up a little bit. So, no, he's been really good. Coming from overseas, and he's been playing in the brightest lights over there. So he's a freshman, but he knows these ropes, and he's been really impressive. He's been really good. And then Will Garlock, that dude can dunk a basketball to the largest extent. That dude can jump. He can move really well. He's about all of 7'1", I'd say. I'd say he's got me by an inch. He can jump, he can dunk it, he's coming along really well. I'm super impressed with him as well. He's been fun to work with, as I feel like when I was kind of in his position, it was Big Steve kind of taking me under his wing. So I'm trying to do the same with Will, but he's been awesome so far, and he's really impressive.
I heard he put one down this week. Did he put one down, Will, that was kind of drawing some rave reviews?
I'm not going to say who it was on, but it was one of the better posters I've seen in a practice in a while. So, yeah, he got someone this week for sure.
You guys got a whole bunch of new guys in the backcourt too, but the obviously with John returning and what he was able to do this offseason, getting to work out for the pros and getting some workouts with some NBA teams, coming back and now going to have a little bit of a different role than he had to have last year, playing off the ball a little bit more. What do you think that can do for him, and how ready do you think he is to maybe take on that new role and maybe be the John Tonje of last year?
I think he's more than ready. I mean, he's the youngest of me and Janicki in our grade, but he is so mature. The way he carries himself on and off the court, he's always in the gym. He's ready. He's ready to take on whatever role is thrown at him. Throughout the summer, you can tell that he's been working out with these NBA guys, and just adding more and more to his bag. So I know whatever coach tells him to do, he's going to go do that, and he's going to do it to the highest level. So I know JB, and he's going to have a big year this year. It's going to be fun to watch.
At a certain point, John and Nick Boyd will be on the same side together. There are obviously some scrimmages in the summer where they were not. What has it been like watching those two dudes go at it?
Yeah, it's been fun. Those are two really competitive dudes that oftentimes end up guarding each other. So, their horns can clash a couple of times here and there. And, when we're on the court, it's competitive. It's fun. They're jawing at each other. And then when we get off, they're best friends. JB was just down in Florida with him, running his camp. So, they're really good friends. But, yeah, they're both ultra competitive. So on the court, they're going at it. And that's just going to, like we said at the steak fry last night that we just had with all these donors, JB said iron sharpens iron. And, that's true. So from top to bottom within this team, every day in practice, we're going at it and just making each other better.
We had a chance during media day last year to ask some of the players of like, who's the guy that we're not talking about that's going to jump up, and John Blackwell mentioned Jack Janicki, and everyone's like, really? Like, we hadn't heard much about him, and then all of a sudden he has this great breakout season. Where is the next step for him here, being able to even contribute more, likely being the first guy off the bench, especially in the backcourt?
Yeah, Janicki's been great this summer. I think it's a mental thing for him, just knowing what kind of role that's going to be thrown at him. He's always in the gym. It's the same with JB. Like, he's always in the gym working, grinding, and I think he's got all the potential in the world. He's got a really good body, really good build to go and show out this year. So, yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch, and I think he's just getting more and more comfortable with the system. So, as every year goes by and me and him get to build that chemistry with the pick and roll stuff, I think going into this year, I really like where we're at, me and him together, and he's shown some really impressive flashes that I can see that he could have another really big year for us.
When you're talking about ability to stretch the floor, two of those transfers that certainly come to mind that we haven't mentioned yet are Andrew Rohde and Austin Rapp. Can you just share what those guys have provided since they got here, how you think they fit in and help you?
Yeah, I'll start with Rohde. He is a really good defender. He's really handsy on the ball. He can guard really 1 through 3, even sometimes the 4. He's super athletic defensively, even offensively. He's got a really good shot. He's one of his better abilities is really passing the ball. He's been able to find some people that kind of makes you scratch your head and wondering how you got it through there. So he got really good vision. He could shoot it, and he plays really good defense. And he's a Wisconsin dude, so I know a lot of Wisconsin fans are going to learn to like him. Then Austin Rapp, he's a 6'10" forward. He can really shoot the ball as well. Really good shooter. Offensively, he's very gifted. He's got all the tools in the toolbox, so he's going to be really fun to watch. And defensively, just for him to use his length, he's been really impressive so far. So both of those dudes have been a lot of fun to work with.
Who's a better shooter, you or Rapp?
I gotta say me. Gotta say me, but he's a really good shooter. I mean, he put up I don't know how many threes last year at Portland, but
how many was it, Jesse?
He averaged 7 threes a game, which at first I thought was a typo. I didn't even know you could do that when you were 6'10".
No, yeah, he can shoot for sure. I'd be interested to kind of get in some shooting competitions with him. But
you guys haven't had any?
We competitions, we shoot together. So like mentally you can kind of keep track of who's beating who, but no, we haven't really had a true competition. We should probably do that here soon though.
So the Big Ten came out with their schedule last week. Do you guys look at that? Do you guys care? Do you look at the non-conference and some of the opportunities you have, whether it's playing Providence and potentially getting Florida? You have Villanova at the Bradleys or at Fiserv. You get Marquette, obviously. You're going to play a lot of really good teams in the non-conference, and then you look at your conference schedule, and it's a bunch of opportunities with that. A lot of really good teams in the conference this year. Do you look at that at all?
Yeah, I think we look at that, but more importantly, we're just focused on ourselves. Whatever comes at us is going to come. So, we're excited for all the opportunities that we're able to go and compete in and showcase ourselves. But, at the end of the day, we got to just worry about ourselves. But, again, we're looking forward to the season. We know that we got a lot of opportunities on the table. So, just getting better here each day in practice is the biggest thing for us.
Nolan, I have a non-basketball question for you. You spend so much time in the facility. What do you like to do when you're not in the building?
Man, I mean, I'm always in the summer, like summer and fall, I have different answers. In the summer, I'd love to golf. I probably golf 4 times a week in the summer. Right after lift, I'd go golf, get on the water, try to get on a lake. Obviously we're between lakes here in Madison, so just get out on that water. That's something I love to do and just enjoy the city. But in the fall, I mean, honestly, I'm probably at the facilities from 12 to 7. We got classes in the morning, so I'll be here, go to class, and just kind of go home and chill out with my roommate, maybe play some video games with him and call it a night. So the fall is it's kind of boring, but it's our season, so it's time to go now.
Golfing 4 times a week, I feel like is quite a commitment. What are you shooting out there?
Well, I'm working. I'd say I shoot about high 80s, high 80s. Like me and Jack Robinson actually just went and played some hockey boys last weekend. They got us by 1 stroke, but we hadn't played in like 2 months. So, and I feel like hockey boys are just naturally good at golf. So I liked how we finished up, but no, that was fun. So yeah, I mean, we got a lot of dudes on the team that like to golf, so it's easy for us to kind of just get on out there.
Jesse, didn't you do a Badger Bites video with a hockey guy?
Guys, I was going to ask, was Kyle Kukkonen involved in this golf off? Because that dude shoots
no, he wasn't. He wasn't. I just saw that today, though. No, it was some guys in my grade, but yeah.
So obviously, Jesse, we talked about this earlier in the show, but you're going to be having the Badger Bites video out. Is it next week or the week after the Hill? Is that coming out next week?
Next week, yeah. Embarrassed myself, but all in the interest of content. So I knew it wasn't going to go well.
Nolan, can I get a report on how Jesse did?
He made it further than I kind of thought.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not easy. And like even for us the first time, like we run 6 the first time, like it shocks your body a little bit. So I was impressed that he made it as far as he did. But yeah, you guys have to see for yourself when it drops the next week or whatever. But yeah,
the sad part is I legitimately spent 3 weeks trying to train on a Peloton thinking it would matter. I'd like to think I would have done an extra one, except that I was running next to Austin Rapp, and he was legitimately concerned that I would not make it in the allotted time frame, and that Snides would force everyone to run an extra. So that's what I'm going to say is an excuse for not doing more. But if I had even done one more, I would have collapsed at the bottom of the hill and might not have been here to tell about it today. So,
well, we appreciate you not jeopardizing our having to run one more hill. So
yeah.
Nolan, have you ever seen Elver? Have you ever seen the Elver Hill?
On a video, I've seen it on video. I haven't seen it in person, but
which would you prefer, the sprints or the jog? What is it, jog, Jesse? Up Elver?
Oh, up Elver? Yeah, it's that's funny. I was just talking to Zach Showalter is a former Badger, and he ran both of them because he played for Bo, but he also played for Greg. And it's like the old heads, they kind of think Bascom is a JV hill. That's what Bo Ryan called it. But I don't think he had to run the sprints that you guys have to do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to run that hill to really give you a true answer. But that hill kind of looks steeper, but way shorter. This one kind of looks way longer, but, less steep. So I don't know. All I know is it's not very fun. So
yeah, all you know is you don't have to do any more.
Yeah.
This year. So that's all that matters.
Seriously.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. All right, Nolan. Hey, thanks for the time. Looking forward to seeing you guys in action real soon.
Of course. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. There he was. Wisconsin junior center Nolan Winter. Appreciate his time. Look, he has an opportunity to have a huge year. He's going to be given a ton of opportunities. I'm anxious and looking forward to seeing what it looks like. He is getting to that weight that he wants to be. He's, what is that, 240, 244? Right there, 245, which is what he wants to play at. So the fact that he's at that weight, and you would assume, and you saw him, run the hill, looks in shape enough to play a bunch of minutes at that weight, just stay in the court. And I think he's going to have a huge year.
Yep. He's got a tremendous opportunity. Him and John Blackwell, obviously, as the two veteran guys who played significant minutes a year ago. Now they're stepping into bigger roles. So I know that there are a lot of newcomers, but you've got to be able to rely on the people who've been through the battles here. And so it's going to be very exciting to watch this team this year. And who doesn't love hearing you're going to just shoot a lot of threes? I mean, as long as they go in enough, right. I think it's going to be a very fun team to watch.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. He has the ability to have a big year, and I love that he plays with some fire. I like that he plays with some attitude, and that because Stephen Crow was a great guy, and he just wasn't necessarily always the fiery, like get after it type of guy, and certainly I feel like Nolan fits that bill. And I'm anxious to see some of the younger guys behind him. He's right. They do. I mean, we've heard Will Garlock's name a bunch here this offseason. Who knows when it's actually going to click, and Bielauskis as well. And what happens with Greppy is also going to play a role. We'll see. There's minutes to be had behind him for sure. So, all right. Appreciate your time, Jesse. We'll be back soon, especially if football continues to go the way it is. We'll continue to try and bring some positivity to the timeline and to our podcast, because there hasn't been a lot for football just yet. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Zach.
All right. There he is, Jesse Temple from Badger Connect. You've been listening to The Swing.